Hello to everyone, this is Nidhi Ranier and I welcome you all to my PES.io presentation on machine learning. Hmm. So I've taken my dataset from Kaggle. This is a used car database and it has over 3,70,000 used cars scraped from eBay. And our dataset includes all these columns. It includes date crawled, name, seller, offer type, price. Everything is described in this um, in this table, and yeah, so we'll be moving on to the code of this. So we begin with importing our required packages. This is just a gist of it. We'll be importing it as we move along our code. We imported our data set next. So we had a data set called auto.csv and we imported it, and we're just going to see what it contains. So we have a date crawled, name, seller, offer type, price, vehicle, and all these columns are right over there. Right. So moving on, we learn more about all the columns of the database. We get a data.info and we understand all the every single column given. So we have non-null objects. Most of them are in objects. A few of them over here we have integer like price and kilometers and power PS. So yeah. Now we see how many null values we have. So right here we sum all the null values according to the columns, and we get that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, a total of 5 columns that have null values of around 37,000, 30 to 70,000. Yeah. So we have all that. But we cannot drop this column because since our data set is around 3 lakhs, so this column shouldn't be dropped. All these null values shouldn't be dropped and it should be replaced. We'll see that later. Now we describe the data, we use data.describe and we see what all are our integer values. We see that date crawled, yeah, we have a column called date crawled and it is very unnecessary column, and the data has no relationship with the price of the given car. So we'll just remove the crawled column and we drop the crawled column over here. We also count the distinct values, the unique values of sellers. So we have two sellers. One of them is private, and the other one is Geverblitch. Okay, I don't know how to spell that. So we see that we only have three of those. So there's just no point of keeping this column since three wouldn't make much of a difference on a 3 lakh data set. So we dropped the seller column as well. The same with offer type. We have two kinds of offers, and the other one is only 12 amongst 3 lakh data set. So we drop the offer type column as well over here. But when we look at the number of pictures, we see that the whole column of number of pictures is zero. It's just zero. And while going through the dataset page, I also saw that there was a bug in the crawler. So none of the number of pictures was gathered. No, we don't have any data on that. So we're just going to drop number of pictures column as well. So over here we are dropping the number of pictures. Now we see that we have two columns given in the form of date which is a date time stamp. So we have date created and last seen. So the first time the ad was published, the ad was created, and the last seen, the last time the ad was active. So we first convert both the object type column to date time type. Since the given columns are an object type, so we're just going to convert them into date type. And then we also will be extracting the number of days the ad was active. So we'll extract the information that for how long the ad stayed on the eBay website, and we'll also be extracting the year, month, and day the date was the ad was created. So that will give us enough information about the time duration of the whole advertisement published. So over here we are gonna change, we are gonna extract the date created, last seen, and active days from the date created. We converted, this line is gonna convert the object type of data the date created into date timestamp. Similarly for for the last scene, and then we are extracting the active days by subtracting the last scene and the date created. So the time gap between the last scene of the last scene and date created is going to give us what period the ad was active. Moving on, we are going to extract the year created, month created, and day created from the date created by .dt year, .dt month. We have already imported the date time module in the very beginning, if you remember. So yeah, so we have active days, and we also converted the active days into just integer numbers instead of having it in the date time format. So now we can drop the last scene and date created, since we've extracted all the information in the other columns that we just created. So yeah, and so we also drop the name, since all the names are unique and it won't matter. We already have it indexed. So we don't need the name column. So we're just going to drop name as well. So yeah, that was all about our columns. Now we're going to take care of our null values. So as we already know, we have five different columns with null values. Those are gearbox, module, fuel type, vehicle type, and not repaired or damaged. So we're going to start with the gear type. So we have 2,700 gearboxes that are manual, and the rest are automatic. So even though manual has more frequency, it wouldn't be wise to replace all null values with the same. We thus use brand to fill null values of gearbox. Over here, we can see that brand has where is brand? So brand has no null values. So we are just gonna use the brand to replace all our gearbox. We're gonna group brand. We're gonna group the gear by columns by brand, and whatever brand the particular the gearbox is in, we'll fill by the maximum number of gear in that brand. So yeah. So over here we are just gonna make a dictionary which will have the brand name and the maximum number of the highest frequency of gearbox, the mode of gearbox. So and we're gonna replace it. So we after replacing with so yeah, this is a Python code that was created to replace all the the null gearbox values with the maximum number of gearbox in that particular brand. So we did that. For model as well, we are gonna do the same, and we are gonna use the brand to replace all. We're gonna use maximum number of models in the particular brand to replace the null values of the model. Also, we have some of the models that don't comply to any brands, so we're just gonna replace them by Golf, as Golf is the maximum like Golf is the maximum occurring model. For fuel type, we see that benzene is around 2 lakhs of the fuels of the cars have a fuel type of which uses benzene. So we're just going to replace the fuel type with benzene everywhere. It's just a very large number. So yeah, after replacing the fuel type with benzene, we move on to the vehicle types. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a total of 8 different categories of vehicle type: limousine, combi, bus, cabrio, all this included. So over here also we're just going to replace the vehicle type with the fuel type, since we're going on the assumption that the same fuel type will have the same vehicle type as well. Since if a limousine works on benzene, then then probably the other null values which are vehicle type which have the fuel type as benzene will also work on limousines. We also know from over here that limousine has the highest frequency. So if in case any of the data doesn't match, we're just going to replace it by limousine, since it's the maximum occurring cell. So yeah, that was all about vector type. And then lastly, we come to not repaired or damaged. So not repaired damage is a column which tells us that if there is a damage in the car that is not repaired, or it's a yes or no question. So since the data extracted was in German, So we have ja and nein. So ja means a yes in German and nein means a no, and the rest are nan values. So we will assume that the default value to be the default value, all these nan values were no, since the car didn't have a damage, so it doesn't need a repair. So we'll just replace all the nan values with a no, and we'll also label encode it into zeros for yes and ones for no's. Since it's a good thing if the publisher is answering this answer with a no, so we're just gonna replace it with one for no and zeros for yes. So yeah, over here we fill all the NA values with neon, um, that is a no, and then we see that all our null values are taken care of. So we also said we'll be label encoding the values. So yeah, over here we are gonna label encode not repair damage in ones and zeros. We also take care of all the rest of the data, which are which are non-numerical types, like vehicle type, gearbox, module, fuel, brand, and app test. All these are alphabetical are string type cells. So we are just going to replace everything with label encoding. We are gonna one hot encode them later, but since we need to do more pre-processing on the data set, so we're just going to leave it to that. So yeah, over here we see that everything, all the columns are in integer type now, and we don't have any null values either. So we have 17 columns and 3,71,527 rows. Everything with no null values and all are in integer values. So this is what we want. So we also have a problem of having outliers in our data set. So yeah, we'll be working on that now. So we have a column called date of registrations. We see that there are date of registrations which are after 2019 and before 1950s. So first of all, there were not much many cars before 1950s that are still there to sell on eBay and everything. And even if they are antiques, and we won't be predicting their values. And the data set was last updated in 2019, so we won't be considering any cars that was registered after 2019, since that's not possible. All those are fake um, ads. So we are just gonna drop all these. We're just gonna keep everything that is below before that was registered before 2019 and after 1950s. So yeah, over here we are doing that. We'll also be taking a look at the price, and we'll be removing everything that costs less than $100 and more than 2 lakh dollars. Since that's not a reasonable price, that's another fake advertisement over there. So we're just going to remove that. Over here we are removing that. And now we come to the process. We are done with our pre-processing. We're going to split the data set. So we're going to split data price, which is what we're predicting, and x to be the rest of the independent variables, and then y is our dependent variable. So we also gonna separate it into x and y, x test, y test, and x train and y train. Over here we are doing that, and we'll be importing Seaborn as SNS, since we want to show a heat map of all our columns. So yeah, this is the heat map of the whole um, database, the data set. And so over here we are only worried about the price section. So over here we can see that the last three, year created, month created, and date created, have no impact. They have zero correlation with the price. So we're just going to drop the three columns as well. The lesser the strain, the better. So we have dropped these three columns as well. um, Now we're going to pair plot everything, and we're going to see. So since we have a lot many columns, around 15 16 columns, so that won't be a very good ideal plot. We're going to pick one of the most important plots from this, that is year of registration versus price. We want to see that. So over here we see that all those cars that have been that have a year of registration of after 2000 have been priced more than the ones that were that are older. So newer cars have more price compared to the older cars. So yeah, that's there. And we'll skip the data visualization part since our main focus is on predicting the data, predicting the price of the cars. So we're gonna one hot encode our model now. So we'll be importing one hot encoder from sklearn preprocessing, and we'll be transforming the whole data. So over here we see that our 15 or almost 15 column has increased to 317 columns since it's all one hot encoded. We have zeros and ones value, and the ones which have a greater number are already there. This is the um, year of registration and everything else. So now we're gonna use random forest classification. Now I did apply a lot of different classification models, including linear regression, multiple linear regression, and yeah, decision tree and everything. But then random forest classification gave me the highest accuracy. So we're just gonna import random forest regressor from sklearn.assemble. We are going to fit our model and we are going to look at the score. So over here we conclude that we gain an accuracy of 83.07% on our random forest model, and it is a very decent number as compared to everything else. So yeah, this was my take on my PESIO project of predicting um, old used car values through it. So yeah, with this last bit, I would like to thank PESIO for giving me this opportunity to work on such a wonderful project. I'd also like to thank our SME who was a very great teacher, mentor to us. And yeah, thank you.